There was a lot to like about the Minnesota Vikings in 2012. They finished 10-6. They won their final 4 regular season games to qualify for the playoffs. Now, once they got in the playoffs, they lost their first round game, the wild card game, to their division rival Green Bay Packers. That was 1 week after beating the Packers in a must-win Week 17 game. This isn't a flawless team, but like I said, there's a lot to like, a lot of positives. When you talk about the positives, you have to start with Adrian Peterson, the best running back in the game, who had the finest season of his career in 2012. Peterson rushed for 2,097 yards. That was only 9 yards shy of breaking Eric Dickerson's single-season NFL rushing record. For that, Peterson was named League MVP, an honor he most definitely deserved. Nearly single-handedly carried the Vikings offense throughout the second half of the season after their only other dynamic playmaker on offense, wide receiver Percy Harvin, was lost with an ankle injury. Now, Harvin's future is up in the air with the Vikings, and that's been a hot topic of conversation for the last couple of weeks. What will they do with Percy Harvin? He has 1 year remaining on his rookie deal. He wants a lucrative long-term contract, and apparently he's willing to hold out if he does not receive that contract by training camp. Now, do the Vikings want to pay Harvin? That remains to be seen, because as good as he is on the field, and make no mistake, this guy is a great football player, can impact the game not only as a wide receiver, but as a kickoff return man. And don't confuse him with a Devin Hester type, a kickoff return man who also plays a little bit of wide receiver. Percy Harvin, despite his size, could be a legitimate number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. He showed that through the first 8 weeks of this season. This guy is a great football player, and believe me, if the Vikings decide to trade him, there's going to be quite a market for Percy Harvin, despite all his off-field baggage. And that baggage is what might lead to his departure from Minnesota. First off, this guy is injury-prone. He misses a lot of games, not only with serious injuries like this ankle injury he suffered last year. Percy Harvin suffers from a migraine headache problem. He's missed games going back to his college days. He's missed games due to migraine headaches. Now, I don't want to make light of that. I know migraine headaches are a serious deal, and some people who have migraine headaches, they're extremely debilitating. They have to stay inside with the lights off all day and things like that. Still, you don't hear about any other players in the NFL missing games due to headaches. Don't think that's lost on the players inside the Vikings locker room. I'm sure plenty of them have rolled their eyes over Percy Harvin sitting out games with headaches. Now, Percy Harvin might know those guys roll their eyes, and he might have confronted them about it. That's the other thing about this guy. He's said to have a prickly personality. Percy Harvin got into fights with his teammates in college. Apparently has gotten into fights with his teammates since he's been in the NFL. And also, there was reportedly a couple of blow-ups last year with head coach Leslie Frazier, who's known to be pretty much a mild-mannered guy. So this could be a Percy Harvin problem, not an everybody else problem. Vikings GM Rick Spielman is going to have to decide whether he's worth it. Is he good enough to put up with all that off-field baggage? In my opinion, yes, he is. This guy is some football player. You're not going to just find another Percy Harvin. And I realize you have to deal with some stuff off the field, and I know I'm not in that locker room, so I'm probably not a good person to speak on it. And my opinion doesn't matter. Nobody's opinion on this situation matters except for Rick Spielman's. As of now, Spielman is saying Harvin will not be traded, but who knows if that's genuine or if it's just a case of Spielman not wanting to tip his hand. We will find out in the coming months. Now, no matter what they do with Percy Harvin, the Vikings have to do something about their passing game. This is really holding the team back. A weak link of the team right now, 31st in the league in passing offense in 2012, second in the NFL in rushing offense. This is a situation where, as the year progressed, the Vikings saw more and more defenses playing the run, stacking the box, daring Christian Ponder to beat them downfield, and Ponder wasn't able to do it. Now, you can make excuses for Christian Ponder. We mentioned Percy Harvin missed the last half of the season. The Vikings, after Harvin, did not have much in the way of playmaking wide receivers. Ponder's favorite target was young tight end Kyle Rudolph after Harvin went down. Still, you can't run from the fact that not only were they the next to last, 31st in the NFL in passing offense, Ponder was next to last in the league in yards per attempt. Only Blaine Gabbert of Jacksonville had a worse number than Ponder's, 6.08 yards per attempt. That is not very good at all. To put it into perspective, for most of the season, Adrian Peterson was averaging more yards per rushing attempt than Christian Ponder was per passing attempt, despite the fact, as we said, defenses, they know Peterson's coming when they play the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I don't think the Vikings are going to move on from Ponder anytime soon. The front office, the coaching staff, Rick Spielman, head coach Leslie Frazier, they've been very positive publicly about Ponder. And quite frankly, if they didn't bench him in the middle of last season when he went through an awful stretch, I don't think they're going to bench him anytime soon. And hey, Ponder, he probably looked better in the Vikings' last game of the season than he did any time all year. That's because he did not play a snap in the last game of the year, the playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers. Backup Joe Webb played in that game and looked so bad, it actually made Ponder look good. I think most people watching that game said, well, maybe Christian Ponder's not so bad. So Christian Ponder, for the time being, is the Vikings' future at quarterback. We'll see if they're able to add some pieces around him this offseason. We mentioned he does have the best running back in the league to distract defenses a little bit, but especially if they're not going to bring Percy Harvin back, they need to make some additions to the wide receiver position. Probably even if they do bring Harvin back, it would be a good idea to add some wide receivers to this team. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, the Vikings are solid. They finished 16th in the NFL in total defense this year, but they're really better than that at the end of the season. In December, this team played some good defense. They're especially good in the front seven. They did struggle a little bit in the secondary, and they're showing signs of age back there. A longtime cornerstone of the Vikings secondary, cornerback Antoine Winfield, will turn 36 in June. He's due over $7 million next year. In a lot of circumstances, you'd say he might be a candidate to be cut because it would save the Vikings obviously $7 million, and he's a 36-year-old cornerback. But he's probably the Vikings' best player in the secondary still. And we mentioned that pass defense was the Achilles heel of this defense last year. So I'd be surprised if they moved on from Antoine Winfield. Now, they need to bring in some more players. They need an infusion of youth in that secondary, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Vikings used their first-round pick, 23rd overall, or maybe their second-round pick on a cornerback. They need help back there, and they're pretty well set in the front seven, especially if they're able to re-sign middle linebacker Jasper Brinkley, who is a free agent, had over 100 tackles last year. The future's pretty bright for the Vikings, I think. If they can figure out this quarterback situation, either if Christian Ponder can start playing better or if they'll finally cut ties with Ponder and go to somebody else. I'm not advocating they do that. I know Ponder's only been in the league 2 years. He has been outshined by some other young quarterbacks, no doubt about it. He doesn't seem like he's right around the corner from being an elite quarterback. But we've seen other quarterbacks, guys like Eli Manning, who've taken several years to develop and who have become elite. So maybe that'll happen to Christian Ponder. It would certainly help if they could get him some more weapons. I think they might do that this offseason. If they can upgrade the passing game and upgrade the secondary, watch for big things from Minnesota Vikings in 2013.